What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today we are coming together to celebrate what would have been Dimebag's 60th birthday. And to celebrate the occasion, we are going to go over all of the mods that were done to Dimebag's guitars by his longtime guitar tech, Grady Champion, and a few of them done by Dimebag as well, which made his guitars so special and made them perform so awesome. And I'm going to bring that to you so then you could do all of these mods on your guitars and have the spirit of Dimebag in your guitar. I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Dimebag's longtime guitar tech, Grady Champion. We went back and forth and he confirmed everything that we are going to be covering today. So without Grady, none of this would have been possible. And of course, you don't need to own a Dimebag guitar to do these mods on your guitar. If you're doing these mods or you have a Dimebag guitar, ultimately you are carrying the spirit of Dimebag forward, and that's what we want to do today. Anyways, let's get into the mods with a real easy one. Starting things off with the easiest mod you could do, it is adding foam to most of the contact points on your guitar. Now, if you are a metal guitar player, you've recorded or you played live with a lot of gain, even with the noise gate, you're gonna notice that when you palm mute the guitar or you stop playing, there's a little bit of extra noise, and that is sympathetic vibration, which means there's other points of the guitar that are still vibrating. So Grady would take a bunch of foam just like this right here. He would put it under the springs in the Floyd Rose cavity. He would then put it behind the nut. He would also put a bunch of tape around the nut as well, just to keep the guitar quiet on top of like running a noise gate. This is essential for any metal guitar player who's playing live and recording, and you're gonna notice that your playing and your recordings are gonna sound so much cleaner when you are using foam with your guitars. Another important mod that Grady would have on all of Dimebag's guitars was actually putting gaff tape on the lower horns of these guitars. Now, when Dimebag would go for a solo live, he would always prop the guitar up. And usually when you prop a guitar up, depending on the shape, it's usually just gonna slide around. And putting gaff tape on the bottom of the horns of the guitar or the lowermost part of the guitar is actually gonna keep the guitar in place when you are resting it on your knee. Very crucial if you like to solo like Dimebag and you want your guitar to stay in control. Also, a lot of the pictures you're gonna see are coming from two of my friends' videos, Ola Englund when he visited Dimebag's house, and Attila Voros when he also visited Dimebag's house and he got the full tour with Grady and Rita. Huge shout out to you guys. If you want to see those videos, I'm going to have a link in the description where you can go check those out after this video. The next mod is kind of a Dimebag signature, and this is putting electrical tape on the pickup bobbins of the neck pickup. Now, this is going to be crucial for guitars that have a top-mounted Floyd Rose. All of Dimebag's guitars had a top-mounted Floyd Rose, and whenever he would dump the bar to do one of those big dime squeals, all the strings would go slack, which they normally do. And depending on how the guitar is set up to have a Floyd Rose, sometimes the strings would just get so loose where they would just be flopping all over the place. And when Dimebag would go to pull up on the bar to grab that big old dime squeal, some of the outer strings on the guitar would actually get stuck under the pickup bobbins. Now, I've tried to replicate this a few times and it's kind of hard to get. I mean, I can only imagine how hard Dimebag was playing the guitar, but clearly this happened to him a bunch. So the easiest solution is just putting a bunch of tape just to cover off those pickup bobbins so the strings wouldn't get caught under them, and it worked for so many years. Easy to do, and also if you are a Dimebag fan and you have a little bit of tape on the neck pickup bobbins, it's kind of a nod to Dimebag in a way, so kind of looks cool as well. All right, so the next mod doesn't really have to do with the guitar itself, but it has to do with an accessory that is required to play guitar for the most part. We're talking picks. So now Dimebag used these green Dunlop Tortex picks forever, but he didn't really have them in the regular form. Grady would actually score these picks to basically give them a grip, and he did that because grip picks at the time didn't really exist. And if you are a Tortex player, you would also notice that the grip Tortex pick just doesn't exist. You have to go to different pick materials, sizes, and everything like that if you want grip picks like this. So what Grady did back in the day was actually take the end of a dart and actually just carve into the pick in like this crosshatch X pattern kind of deal. If you don't have a dart, you could take something like a knife, which is what you're gonna see on screen, and you get a really grippy pick, and you also have that same Tortex feel and sound at the end of the day. And one other thing that I want to share with you guys is that when these Tortex and these plastic picks just kind of run out and they get really dull, you can actually take that a step further. You can get like a big old metal file, and you can actually file it, as you're gonna see on screen, to make that end really sharp rather than just having a dull pick. So you can get a lot of life out of these picks just by putting a little bit of time and effort into them, and of course, keeping the spirit of Dime alive in your guitar. This next one is probably one of my favorite ones, and it's one that I have on a lot of guitars as well. This one is going to be the Dimebag traction knobs. Now, these are the black plastic knobs that go on the potentiometers for your guitar electronics. These ones have all of those little white O-rings around it, and that is actually acting as a grip. Years ago, Grady and Dime developed this. Initially, it started with just scoring the knobs around, like on all of the different number markings on it, just to kind of grip them a little bit. And that's a great method as well, but the one that works best and the one that Grady eventually switched to was actually taking the end of a soldering iron and then just kind of slam all of the markings on those volume pots. The heat will eventually make the plastic kind of bubble out into kind of like this O-ring and kind of the shape of the tip of that soldering iron. You do it all around, you're gonna get a bunch of little circles, and then it's gonna make the knobs very easy to grab onto. Very simple mod. It worked for Dime and Grady for years, and it's so popular now that a lot of these are just coming pre-made from the factory because they're just so great. You're gonna need the soldering iron for this one because we are jumping into the electronics. The first thing that Grady would do on all of Dimebag's guitars, since they had the 2-volume, 1-tone configuration, is literally just get rid of the tone. Dimebag would never use the tone, and the tone changes very slightly when you remove the tone knob from the circuit because you're having less electronics for the signal to pass through, so the signal kind of opens up a little bit more. I have a full video on the channel as well, which I'm going to link to in the cards, which will teach you how to delete the tone knob from your guitar and unlock a little bit of extra tone that's been hiding in your guitar. All right, so we are down to the last couple mods, but we are going to throw it all into one topic, and we've kind of left the best for last, and I'd be remiss if I didn't even mention it at all. We are talking about the pickups that Dimebag was using. Dimebag used rail-style pickups in the bridge position of his guitar, and he would match that with a regular bridge pickup in the neck position. And outside of rail pickups just looking so cool in the guitar, they actually sound different than regular pickups that have traditional pull pieces. Rail pickups offer a continuous magnetic field across the string path or across all of the strings on your guitar, so that offers more tonal consistency. It has less gaps in volume between each of the strings on your guitar. You're gonna have tighter output, you're gonna have a punchier signal, and overall your signal is gonna have much more clarity by using a rail pickup. If you put a traditional bridge pickup in the neck position of your guitar, you will actually complement that rail pickup that is in the bridge, and you'll have more tonal consistency, and you won't have as much of a volume drop between both your pickups when you're switching between them. And thankfully, you can get both of these pickups wrapped up into one package that's an over-the-counter product ready to buy and install in your guitar. We are talking about the Seymour Duncan Dimebucker set, and I want to give a huge shout out to Seymour Duncan, who have sponsored today's video. They sent over the Dimebucker. I'm going to throw this set in one of my guitars, and we're going to hear it in a bunch of different contexts, so let's dive into it. The Dimebucker is no slouch. This one is rolling in at 16.5 K ohms of DC resistance, and that is an extremely hot, high output humbucker. And the 59 bridge is running at 7.6 K ohms of DC resistance, and when you pair them together, you're gonna get a very well-balanced pickup configuration. The bridge pickup has all of the gain, all of the high end, and all of those scooped mids, and that tight low end that Dimebag is known for in his tone. And the 59 bridge pickup in the neck just has like a smooth, buttery sound, has a lot of teeth on that high end that really makes those high notes sing when you're flipping up to the neck pickup and you're ripping those leads. And of course, you got to take it from Dimebag himself, who designed all of this with Seymour Duncan to give you the spirit of his tone in your guitar. All right, so now let's take a look at the 98 Washburn Dimebag Culprit guitar with all of the Dimebag mods on it. We're going to start right up here. We got some foam right under the strings just to help out with that sympathetic vibration. Foam under the tremolo springs just to help out with that sympathetic vibration as well. We've got our DIY grip pick. There's the Dimebucker set, Dimebucker in the bridge, 59 bridge position in the neck. Then we got some tape just to help out with some of those Dimebag squeals and the strings falling off. But look at that, looks so good. Another cool thing you can do with the Dimebucker is actually flip it upside down. This is something that Dimebag did on a bunch of his guitars with Grady. The sound does change, and I'm gonna link to a video that will show you and give you some audio clips of how that is all gonna sound. But for the tone clips that we're gonna hear later on, we're just gonna hear it in the stock format, which is just gonna sound amazing. Here's a close-up on the Dimebag traction knobs again. Soldering iron just into any part that has a number on it or however you'd like to make your own. Very simple, very easy to do, and these feel great, and this actually provides a lot of traction when you have to move the volume knob up and down on the guitar. There's only one thing that this guitar is missing, and that's going to be gaff tape on the very bottom of the guitar. I would be putting it right down here and here on this Washburn Culprit, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to have a bunch of glue residue from the tape left behind when I take it off. But if you're going to be doing the gaff tape mod on your Dimebag Culprit guitar or like a Washburn D3, any kind of Dimebag guitar, just along the bottom right here and that's going to help your guitar when you prop it up for soloing, just as Dimebag did. That's pretty much it. So now let's plug it in and hear how awesome this guitar sounds and performs with these Dimebag upgrades. This is with the gain at 10. That'll do it for today's video, going over all of the mods done to Dimebag's guitars over the years to make them the best playing guitars that he ever had. I want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to Grady Champion, who confirmed everything once again with me. Without you, this video wouldn't have happened. I really appreciate you going over the list with me just so we can bring all of the perfect information to the viewers here. Once again, another big thank you to Seymour Duncan, who sponsored the video, who sent over the Dimebucker set. These are some of my favorite pickups, and I've used them in tons of guitars and in tons of contexts outside of the Pantera sound. And you can't go wrong with these pickups if you're looking to take your guitar's tone to a new level. I will link down below if you want to learn more about these, and if you actually want to read a really sweet interview with Grady Champion and Seymour Duncan, who goes over a couple different mods down there as well. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I got tons more Dimebag and Pantera related videos, as well as other guitar related topics. And if you are a returning subscriber, make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. Thanks for checking this out, and happy birthday, Dimebag.